السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته يا شيخنا.
أبا عبد الرحمن،
نعم يا شيخنا.
يمكن نبدأ الدرس؟
نعم يا شيخنا.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أما بعد, we have been on the reading of Seerah A'ishah radiallahu anha, the life of our mother Āishah Siddiqah radiallahu anha, Mubarakatu bintu Siddiq. She was called Mubarakah, described to be a woman of abundant blessings and benefits by her father Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. We have read over 35 to 36 pages or thereabout from this work by Imām Adh-Dhahabi rahimahullah in his book Siyar A'alām An-Nubala. The last narration we read about her radiallahu anha was about how we began to make At-Tibyān, the mashru'iyya of At-Tibyān, the lawfulness of making tayammum, and when it began and how it began. We recall that Al-Imam al-Bukhari, Al-Imam Muslim, they all reported this narration. That narration came from Hisham ibn Urwa. In the copy we read on the screen, it will be from page 169, when she said, radiyallahu anha, عنها استعارت قلادة في سفر مع رسول الله. استعارت قلادة في سفر مع رسول الله عليه الصلاة والسلام. She had borrowed a necklace from her sister Asma'u bint Abi Bakr as-Siddiq when she was going to make a journey with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She said, فَانْسَلَّتْ مِنْهَا, this qilada, this necklace, got off her. It got off her, it got broken, and then she lost it. وَكَانَ ذَلِكَ الْمَكَانِ يُقَالُ لَهُ السُّلْسُلُ. That's called فَذُكِرَ ذَلِكَ لِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ فَطَلَبُهَا حَتَّى وَجَدُوهَا. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ذُكِرَ ذَلِكَ لَهُ. It was mentioned to him that our mother Āishah radiyallahu anha had lost her necklace, and she sent some of the companions, as we had narrated in the classes before today. So that necklace was searched, and it was not found until the time for Salah came, and then the people had to observe Salah using At-Tibyān, using the sand. And when this was revealed that the people should now employ tayammum in place of al-wudu, Usayd ibn al-Hudayr, who was the head of those sent by the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to search for that place, Usayd ibn al-Hudayr said, Jazakillahu khaira. Usayd ibn al-Hudayr said, Jazakillahu khairan to who? To Āishah radiyallahu anha. This is evidence that when you gain something from somebody, somebody does a thing of benefit to you, what do you say? You say Jazakillahu khairan to a female, Jazakallahu khairan to a male, Jazakumullahu khairan to a lot of people, or to a single person by way of showing respect. Usaid ibn Hudayr said, Jazakillahu khairan to our mother Āishah. And then he said, فَوَاللَّهِ مَا نَزَلَ بِكِ أَمْرٌ قَطٌّ تَكْرَهِينَهُ إِلَّا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لَكِ فِيهِ خَيْرًا وَلِلْمُسْلِمِينَ. Usaid ibn Hudayr said, مَا نَزَلَ بِكِ أَمْرٌ قَطٌّ تَكْرَهِينَهُ. Nothing happened to you, Āishah, that you disliked. Anytime something you don't like happens to you, radiyallahu anki, ja'ala Allahu laki fihi khayra. Allah usually places goodness in that thing for you. When something happens to you, you don't like that thing. At the end of it, you will find out that Allah has placed in that thing that was uncomfortable to you, that was displeasing to you, that was disturbing to you. Allah has placed Ja'alallahu laki fihi khaira. Allah has placed a lot of goodness inside it. In some riwayat it says walil muslimin, and the rest of the Muslims too will benefit from that goodness. She lost her necklace, and it became a means of ease for us, that if we don't find water, or that the individual is ill, or that using water will aggravate the illness, then the individual can make tayammum. Or that even using water can bring illness in the circumstance, the individual can make use of tayammum. The person by which Allah brought this goodness and ease to this ummah was who? Āishah. What happened to her? Something that she did not like. What was that? She lost her necklace. She lost her necklace. Searching for the necklace became a means of goodness for the rest of the Muslims, radiyallahu anhum, during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. But in the reports, if we come to page 171, we were talking about 169. We can come to 179. We'd read it all. We are just doing a recap before we proceed in the class today, inshallah. In page 171, Imām Adh-Dhahabi narrated the incidents again. He said, rahimahullah, from the isnad of Imam Ahmad in his musnad, that returned to Āishah, radiyallahu anha, annaha qalat. Our mother Āishah, radiyallahu anha, said, that was the report of Abdullah ibn Zubayr from Āishah. We remember that Abdullah ibn Zubayr was from the students of Āishah. Despite that Āishah was her maternal, was her aunt, maternal aunt, Khala, radiyallahu anha. And she was also the teacher of Abdullah ibn Zubayr. So this report is from the report of Abdullah ibn Zubayr. From who? From Āishah, radiyallahu anha. When Āishah said, Aqbalna ma Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We proceeded along with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Hatta idha kunna biturban. Until we got to a place called Turban. And then it was explained that Baladun baynahu wa bayna al-Madinati baridun wa amyad. That was a city, a town, that baynahu wa bayna al-Madinati barid wa amyal. Between it and Medina, there was some distance. There was some good distance between that city and Medina. We recall that in some of the reports, it said it was called As-Sulsul. In some of the reports, it was mentioned to be what? Zatul Jaish. And in some of the reports, it was mentioned to be what? Al-Baida. All of these places are around the place we now refer to as what? Dhul Hulayfa. That was where this incident happened. She said, radiyallahu anha, وَهُوَ بَلَدٌ لَا مَاءَ بِهِ. That place where we stopped over with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam during the journey, لَا مَاءَ بِهِ. It does not have a well, no water point, no well, no stream, no river, nothing. There is no water point there. وَذَلِكَ مِنَ السَّحْرِ. And that happened in the early morning time, the time when we observe as-sahur, close to the time of Salatul Fajr. That was the time when this incident happened. At that time, in Salat Kiladatun min unuki fawaqa'at. In Salat Kiladatun min unuki. A necklace that I was wearing, it got broken. Do you understand? The necklace got broken, fawaqa'at, and it fell on the ground. So she missed the necklace, radiyallahu anha. فَحُبِسَ عَلَيَّ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ بِالْتِمَاسِهَا حَتَّى طَلَعَ الْفَجْرُ. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stopped everybody. The Prophet stopped everybody. لِلْتِمَاسِهَا, so that people can go on to search for her necklace. Radiyallahu anha. The necklace of Āishah fell down. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stopped everybody. Go and search for the necklace of Āishah. Radiyallahu anha. So she said, radiyallahu anha, وَلَيْسَ مَا الْقَوْمِ مَاءٌ. And the people did not have water. The place where they had stayed, she said, وَهُوَ بَلَدٌ لَا مَاءَ بِهِ. It was a town that does not have water at all. وَلَيْسَ مَعَ الْقَوْمِ مَاءٌ. Here she's now saying that, and the people had exhausted the water that they were carrying. You know, it's either that there's water they can fetch there, or that they already have water in their water containers. But in this case, the town where they stopped over does not have water, no well, no stream, no water point. And then the water people had carried along with them during the journey. She said, radiyallahu anha, laysa ma'al qawmi ma'un. The water had gotten exhausted. فَلَقِيتُ مِنْ أَبِي مَا اللَّهُ بِهِ عَلِيمٌ مِنَ التَّعْنِيفِ وَالتَّأْفِيفِ. لَقِيتُ مِنْ أَبِي مَا اللَّهُ بِهِ عَلِيمٌ مِنَ التَّعْفِيفِ وَمِنَ التَّعْنِيفِ وَالتَّأْفِيفِ. She said, لَقِيتُ مِنْ أَبِي. So I saw from my father, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, مَا اللَّهُ بِهِ عَلِيمٌ مِنَ التَّعْنِيفِ. What only Allah knows how it was tough in terms of shiddah. Toughness, Abu Bakr Allahu anhu with Āishah. We know the reason for Abu Bakr's disposition towards her. The people went to complain to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq that, look at it, your daughter has caused the people. ما ترى ما صنعت عائشة أقامت برسول الله وبالناس وليس على ماء وليسوا على ماء وليس معهم ماء. Look at what Āishah has caused. She has made the Prophet to stop, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa binas. She has also made the people to stop behind and stop their journey. وَلَيْسُوا عَلَى مَاءٍ. And they are not in a place where they can find water. وَلَيْسَ مَعَهُمْ مَاءٌ. They don't also have any sort of water, which they are not carrying water and they can't find. Well, look at what your daughter has caused. Radiyallahu anha. People went to report Āishah, radiyallahu anha, to who? To her father, despite the fact that she was already married to the best of men, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. She said, فَعَاتَبَنِي أَبُو بَكْرٍ الصِّدِّيقِ فَقَالَ مَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ أَن يَقُولُ. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq a'tabani. He blamed me. He spoke to me harshly. He dealt with me. He was, in some reports that we had read earlier, he came to her, radiyallahu anhuma, and at that time the Prophet was resting on top of the laps, putting his head on the legs of Āishah. And Abu Bakr, as he spoke to her, you always bring hardship to people whenever we travel with you. That was why she was saying this report of Imam Ahmad in his Musnad, that فَلَقِيتُ مِنْ أَبِي مَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ مِنَ من التعنيف والتعفيف. I saw from my father, Mallahu bihi alim, the kind of treatment that my father gave me. Only Allah knew how it was. In terms of what? At-Ta'nif. He was very firm. He was tough against me. He was reprimanding me. Radiyallahu anhu. And what ta'fif. He was also dealing with me. He was speaking with me harshly. You caused this. You made us to stay behind. Radiyallahu anhu. وقال, one of the things that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said to Āishah radiyallahu anha was that في كل سفر للمسلمين منك عناء وبلاء. في كل سفر, every time that the Muslims travel with you, they always get عناء وبلاء. They always get difficulty and triumph. Anytime Muslims travel with you, this girl Āishah, you always bring trouble to them. You always bring triumphs to them. These were the things that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was saying to his daughter radiyallahu anha. Don't forget, that was because the Prophet was held back. So the pain of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the worry of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the concern of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was the delay that his daughter had brought to who? To the Prophet Muhammad. So you could see what he was struggling with. Radiyallahu anhu. That was because he saw that because of his daughter's necklace, and that has happened in some reports. Abu Bakr said, you kept the Prophet behind because of ordinary necklace. He saw that necklace, searching for necklace will be something that will be too unnecessary for her to be telling her husband, where is my necklace? And you saw that she was not the one actually asking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet himself, alayhi salatu wasalam, actually deliberately waited for her. It was not Āishah who was insisting, as many women will insist today. If it were the women of today, they will be insisting, telling the husband to wait. Āishah was not telling the Prophet to wait. Alayhi salatu wasalam. It was the Prophet himself, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, who chose and deliberately made the people to wait behind. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq felt that was uncomfortable for the Prophet to wait for Aisha's necklace. And then the rest of the Muslims added to the fact that they needed to observe Salat, and there was no water to observe Salat. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was saying to our mother Aisha that في كل سفر للمسلمين منك عناء وبلاء. He said, في كل سفر, on every journey that you come with us, للمسلمين منك عناء وبلاء. عناء وبلاء للمسلمين. The Muslims always find hardship and stress whenever you are on a journey with them. Why are you like that? So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was very displeased, radiyallahu anhu, out of concern for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, out of concern for the rest of the Muslims too. It was time for Salah, but there's no water for wudu. And the person who apparently brought about that was his own daughter. So he felt uncomfortable. Radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ الرُّخْصَةَ فِي التَّيَمُّمِ. That was when Allah sent down a rukhsah fi tayammum. The ease. Allah sent down ease. In what? In that we should make a tayammum. So she said, radiyallahu anha, فَتَيَمَّمَ الْقَوْمُ وَصَلَّوْا. فَتَيَمَّمَ الْقَوْمُ وَصَلَّوْا. So the people now made tayammum, and then they observed the salah after this incident. قالت, our mother said, radiyallahu anha, يقول أبي حين جاء من الله من الرخصة للمسلمين. يقول أبي حين جاء من الله من الرخصة للمسلمين. When that rukhsa, that is, that we should make tayammum when we don't find water, when that is came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lil Muslimin, to the Muslims, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the rest of the companions. When this happened, wallahi, my father said that, wallahi, ma alimtu ya bunayyatu innaki la mubarakatun. Wallahi, I swear by Allah, ma alimtu ya bunayya. Oh my daughter, I did not know that innaki la mubaraka. I don't know that Allah has placed in you a lot of blessings and benefits like this. At the beginning, it wasn't uncomfortable. But when Allah gave that legislation for at-tayammum and the permission that we should make tayammum, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq spoke well and praised our mother Āishah. He said, radiyallahu anhu, wallahi, ma alimtu ya bunayyatu, innaki la mubaraka. My daughter, I did not know that innaki la mubarakatun. I did not know that you are so blessed woman. Wallahi ya bunayyatu, ma alimtu innaki la mubaraka. I did not know that you are mubaraka. That's why it's common amongst the scholars that if they find someone called Āishah, just like we will call someone who is named Omar, we refer to him as what? As what? If someone was called Omar or Abu Bakr, we refer to the person as Siddiq. The same way if the person was named Āishah, generally we will refer to that person as what? Mubaraka, or we refer to as what? Siddiqa, because those names are connected to our mother Āishah too, radiyallahu anha. Described her as what? Mubaraka, radiyallahu anhuma. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq went on and said, ماذا جعل الله للمسلمين في حبسك إياه من البركة واليسر. ماذا جعل الله للمسلمين. Look at what Allah has brought for the Muslims. في حبسك إياهم. You're delaying them. You're bringing them delay. Look at how Allah has brought al-barakata wal-yusr. Look at how Allah has brought blessings and ease for them. Yes, you caused the delay, but your delay became a means of al-barakatu wal-yusru lil-muslimin. Became a means of barakat, blessings, wal-yusr, and ease for the Muslims. That riwayah occurs in the Musnad of Imām Ahmad. There are a lot of lessons we can take from this. Let's take a few lessons and then we will go to the rest of the ahadith. The first lesson I want us to quickly look at in the story of Āishah is Inayatul Rajuli bi amri ahlihi safaran wa khadara. A man should be concerned with the affairs of his wives, whether those wives are at home or the matter is during the journey. Look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His wife Āishah lost her necklace, and he was concerned about how she finds that necklace. Many of us will not be so concerned, especially during the journey, and that the journey was becoming uncomfortable. No water to drink, no water for ablution. Many of us would have told our wives, let us forget about that necklace and let us continue the journey. But the Prophet was concerned with the affairs of his wife. As he was concerned with her affairs at home, the same way he was concerned with her affairs fi safar during that journey. The second thing perhaps we'll take from this hadith, there are a lot of points of benefit, but those ones I want us to pay attention to is fadlu qawli jazakillahu khaira. The virtue of always saying what? Jazakumullahu khaira, Jazakumullahu khaira. Usayd ibn Hudayr, when Allah revealed the verses of Tayammum, what did he say to Āishah? Jazakillahu khaira. It was a common practice. The Prophet too said that to the people of Medina. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In that hadith collected by Imam Hakim in his Mustadrak, he said, وَأَنْتُمْ مَعْشَرَ الْأَنصَارِ فَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا فَإِنَّكُمْ أَعِفَّةٌ صُبْرٌ فَإِنَّكُمْ أَعِفَّةٌ صُبْرٌ. أَنْتُمْ مَعْشَرَ الْأَنصَارِ, O you people of Medina, the Ansar. فَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا. May Allah reward you with khaira. We have said it. Don't say Jazakallahu khair al-jaza. Don't say that. Once you say Jazakallahu khaira with nakira, you have put all the khairat inside. You don't need to be specifying it's alpha khairat, mi'at khairat, Jazakallahu khair al-jaza. You don't need it again. You are spoiling that expression. Don't add anything to it. Just say Jazakallahu khaira, or Jazakillahu khaira, or Jazakumullahu khaira, as the case may be. Don't add anything to it. It was a common thing. To the people of Medina. Likewise, Abdullah ibn Umar and others. There are a lot of athar about saying Jazakumullahu khaira. In this narration, when Usayd ibn al-Hudayr saw that Allah has brought the verse of At-Tibyān, what did he say? He said Jazakillahu khairan to who? To Āishah radiyallahu anha. Another point of benefit I like us to watch, to take notes in this narration of Āishah, is that إِنَّ الْعَاقِبَةَ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِذَا صَبَرُوا عِنْدَ الْبَلَاءِ. If you are righteous when there is a bala and you have a trial, that trial, handle it as the way the Sharia wants you to handle a trial. If you don't handle a trial the way Islam wants you to handle it, you are coming back to regret at the end of the day. You will regret. Many times we like to handle matters as they appear reasonable to us, not according to the legislations of Allah. Many times when something happens, people want to employ their intellect rather than employ the legislations of Islam. If you don't employ the legislations of Islam, that your intellect will declare to you to be wrong at the end of the day. But if you employ the legislations of Islam, you will see that, bi'idhnillah, things will fall into shape at the end of the day, and you will have a reason to thank Allah for sticking to the limits of Allah during a trial. Brothers, sisters, whenever there is a trial, stick to the limits of the Sharia in that trial. Wallahi, you will not regret. This is what you have seen with Āishah radiyallahu anha. Usayd ibn al-Hudayr said radiyallahu anhu to Āishah, Ma nazala biki amrun qattun takrahinahu. Nothing happens to you that is displeasing to you. Illa ja'ala Allahu laki fihi khaira. Except that at the end of the day, Allah brings inside it goodness for you. Sticking to the limits of the Sharia when there is a trouble, when there is a fitna, when there is a bala, it usually makes the matter end upon goodness. Allah said to us that وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِمَاذَا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. He says استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة. Seek help with Allah over your troubles, over your trials. How? Bisabr, by being patient. Āishah radiyallahu anha was very, very patient in this matter. She wasn't talking to anybody. She wasn't abusing anybody. She was just silent. And she has nothing to say. What would she have said? Would she have replied her father? Many young people today will be replying their father as they saw that the father was annoyed. When the father spoke, they will answer. When the father spoke, they will answer. If you do that, you will add to your problems. You will add to your trials. When the father was angry, Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, Āishah was silent. In fact, she was not only silent, she did not want to move, that she would not cause inconvenience to the Prophet who was having his head on her legs. She did not want to move. Radiyallahu anha. She said, فَلَا يَمْنَعُنِي مِنَ التَّحَرُّكِ إِلَّا مَكَانُ النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ عَلَى فَخِذِي. Nothing prevented me when my father was poking me by the ribs. My father was poking me by the ribs, poking my ribs. Nothing stopped me from moving except that the Prophet's head was on my leg. Look at how mannerly, how well calm, how reasonable she was. Radiallahu anha. For many of us, in fact, at that, some young girls will tell their father, Daddy, see Prophet on top of my leg, resting his head. Some people will say that. She couldn't even say a word. As she was getting poked by her father, she was being patient so that she does not disturb her husband. Look at how mannerly she was. So at the end of the day, it became a means of blessings for her and for the rest of the Muslims. Forever and ever, we'll be praying for her over this incident. It was through her that Allah brought us the ease of making At-Tayammum. That's virtue for her. And that virtue came as a result of her sticking to the limits of Sharia when she was in trouble, when she was in crisis. From the things that I also think it's necessary, bi'idhnillah, if we pay attention to it, is that al-farhu bima yafrahu bihi ikhwanuka al-muslimun. Al-farhu bima yafrahu bihi al-muslimun. Be happy when your brothers are happy. When something brings joy to your Muslim brothers, share their joy. Definitely, Allah's revealing that verse of Tayammum, it will be happy. It will be a thing of joy for Āishah. Usayd ibn al-Hudayr was also happy. If it were in our times, you start seeing people be jealous, people will be angry, people. And despite the fact that Allah has brought ease. So Usayd ibn al-Hudayr was happy for Āishah, that she is a means of goodness to the rest of the ummah. Some people, when their brothers find goodness, they are sad. They are sad when their brothers are happy. But they are happy when their brothers are sad. And yet we come back and say Salafi. This is part of Manhajus Salafi. This is part of the way of life of the early Muslims. Is that when your brother is happy over a favor of Allah on him, you are happy with him. And when he's sad over a trial of Allah, you are also helping him in his trial. Or in our own case, what you find, and then people say Salafiyah, Salafiyah. This is Manhajus Salafi, is that they are happy over the joy, over the happiness of their brothers. Āishah was happy, radiallahu anha. Usayd ibn al-Hudayr was happy with him, with her. Usayd ibn al-Hudayr was happy. So quickly go ahead, Āishah, jazakillah khair. Āishah, jazakillah khair. Go back to the history. Many others too spoke well. The Prophet also was happy. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was happy. Those who will not be happy will be the munafiqun. The munafiqun are displeased with the thing of joy that Allah blesses the Muslims with. They are displeased. But when something uncomfortable happens to the Muslims, then they are happy. They are glad. This is the way of munafiqun. So let us learn this. Let us be happy when Allah shows favors to our brothers and our sisters. Share their joy. Be happy with them over their joy. And when something unpleasing happens to them, share their displeasure. Share their displeasure. Pray for them. Sympathize with them. It is not the other way around as it is common amongst us. May Allah protect us. I quickly like to mention two more things. The first one is يجوز معاتبة أو تجوز معاتبة الرجل بنته وإن كانت متزوجة. معاتبة الرجل بنته. It is lawful in Islam for a man to chastise and reprimand his daughter. وإن كانت متزوجة. Even if that girl may be married. You have a daughter and she's married. And then something happened. You can reprimand her. You have a daughter, her name is Āishah. She married and something. You can reprimand her. Why did you do that? Why did you handle your husband like that? Why did you handle your son? Why did you? Parents, our fathers, women, your fathers can blame you over a matter in your marriage. Why? You could see Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was blaming Āishah. She said, radiyallahu anha, that her father, لَقِيتُ مِنْ أَبِي مَا اللَّهُ بِهِ عَلِيمٌ مِنَ التَّعْنِيفِ وَالتَّأْفِيفِ. I saw toughness and strong reprimand from my father over this matter. So if you're a girl, don't blame your father when he hears something that you did that was bad. You now begin to say, Daddy, but I'm not a married woman. That you are a married woman does not stop that. He is your father. He's your father, and he can reprimand you. He can reproach you. He can criticize you over a matter, even if that matter has to do with your marriage. Sisters, our fathers can reprimand us. Our fathers can speak harshly to us. In fact, if you are nearby him, our fathers can poke us by the side by way of showing us reprimand, as Abu Bakr as-Siddiq did. Don't forget, the Prophet was having his head on the legs of Āishah. Yet, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq did that. So your father can blame you. Your father can reprimand you. Your father can reproach you, even though you are a woman who had married. You have become married to a man. He can reproach you. He can reprimand you. To further ram home these points, we continue now in page 171. To further ram home the points that the parents of a woman can reprimand her, whether her father or her mother. They can reprimand a girl. They can reprimand a woman. Ummahat, your parents can reprimand you even though you are in the house of your husband. Just like Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was reprimanding and reproaching Āishah. Another narration that shows that is what we will read now from Al-Imam Abu Nu'aym, from amongst the teachers of Al-Imam Al-Bukhari, rahimahullah. Al-Imam Adh-Dhahabi said, Abu Nu'aym here is Al-Fadl ibn Dukayn. He's the Shaykh of Al-Imam Al-Bukhari in this Athar. So that means that this report occurs in Sahih Al-Bukhari. So Abu Nu'aym is Al-Fadl ibn Dukayn. قال حدثنا يونس ibn Abi. He says, he's reporting from Yunus ibn Abi Ishaq. Can you hear me now, brothers? Can you hear me now, brothers?
We are hearing you, Shaykh.
Alhamdulillah. So Al-Imam Adh-Dhahabi has mentioned this report from Al-Imam Al-Bukhari. How do we know that this report is from Al-Imam Al-Bukhari? Because it is from the report of Al-Imam Al-Fadl ibn Dukayn, who is the Shaykh of Al-Imam Al-Bukhari. So he says, Abu Nu'aym حدثنا يونس ibn Abi Ishaq عن العيزار ibn حريث عن النعمان ibn Bashir. It could have also come from Al-Imam Ahmad or others, inshallah. So this report, it says Abu Nu'aym حدثنا يونس ibn Abi Ishaq عن العيزار ibn حريث. عيزار ibn حريث al-Abadi. That is Izar ibn Hurayth al-Abadi. Yunus ibn Abi Ishaq al-Sabi'i is well known. Yunus ibn Abi Ishaq al-Sabi'i. And Abu Ishaq al-Sabi'i is well known. Amr ibn Abdullah. So Yunus is his son. Is well known from the scholars of Hadith. Al-Izar ibn Hurayth is al-Abadi. And he is reporting from Nu'man ibn Bashir. We all know Nu'man ibn Bashir, one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Abu Abdullah al-Ansari. He said, استأذن أبو بكر على النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فإذا عائشة ترفع صوتها عليه فقال يا بنت فلانة ترفعين صوتك على رسول الله فحال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم بينه وبينها ثم خرج أبو بكر الصديق فجعل النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يترضاها وقال ألم تريني حلت بين الرجل وبينك ثم استأذن أبو بكر الصديق مرة أخرى فسمع تضاحكهما فقال أشركاني في سلمكما كما أشركتماني في حربكما. The Imam Adh-Dhahabi reports this from our from the eminent companion Nu'man ibn Bashir Abu Abdullah al-Ansari, who said, Ista'adhan Abu Bakr as-Siddiq ala Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq asked for permission to come into the house of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. فَإِذَا عَائِشَةُ تَرْفَعُ صَوْتَهَا عَلَيْهِ. And it happened that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq heard Āishah radiyallahu anha ترفع صوتها على الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq heard Āishah. She was speaking to her husband, the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, and her voice was loud over his own. This makes us understand that something like this can happen sometimes between a man and his wife. The two of them will be in a matter. Somehow, her own voice will go above his own voice, as we have seen in this asar. Women should not now use this to say every day, every time. Their own voices too will go above the voice of their husband. These are incidences that happen very, very, very sparingly. These things happen sparingly. They happen sparingly. They only happen sometimes, very scarcely. Would you hear that Āishah is that? Was it the Āishah who could not move, radiyallahu anha, when her father was poking her? She couldn't move because the head of the Prophet was on her legs. Is it the same person now who will take it as a character and way of life to always raise her voice above the voice of the Prophet? No, this one happened only sparingly. This is from the issues the scholars will refer to as waqi'atul ayn, something that just happened. They will say la umuma laha. It does not have a ruling to say, oh, the evidence is that every day a woman should be raising her voice over the voice of her husband. Why? Because this is what we call what waqi'atul ayn, like something just happening. Another incident like a waqi'atul ayn is that a woman is going on the street. She has a niqab, she has a jilbab, she has everything. And then the wind blows and blows off the niqab away from her face. I have seen that before. When a gathering, myself, a brother, and a woman were discussing. And the wind began to blow. The woman began to struggle so that the jilbab does not go off her body. When she was doing that struggle, the wind blew off her niqab from her face. We all turned away. She couldn't even drag the niqab because the wind was almost going to blow up the jilbab. So this is waqi'atul ayn, something that just happens. The scholars say la hukma laha, or they say what la umuma laha. It cannot be used as evidence. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu ista'adhana ala nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He asked for permission to come into the house of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. فَإِذَا عَائِشَةُ تَرْفَعُ صَوْتَهَا عَلَيْهِ. And he found out that Aisha's voice had gone up and above the voice of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. But there's a lesson we can learn here too. Oh brothers, you can be a sheikh, and sometimes between yourself and your wife, you have discussions. You have things that are uncomfortable. It doesn't mean she was. So you can't say, oh, have you forgotten that I'm a sheikh? Yeah, she didn't forget, but she's just being a woman. فَقَالَ يَا بِنْتَ فُلَانٍ. When Abu Bakr as-Siddiq noticed that, he said, Ya binta fulan, O daughter of so and so, tarfa'ina sawtaki ala Rasulillah. Are you raising your voice over that of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam? And you know Allah had prohibited that in the Quran. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la tarfa'u aswatakum fawqa sawti an-nabi. So that was what Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was looking at. Ya binta fulana, tarfa'ina sawtaki ala sawti Rasulillah. Are you raising your voice over the voice of Rasulullah? When you know the ruling, alayhi salatu wasalam. Radiyallahu anhu. Faja'ala an-nabiyyu. That meant that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, after he said that, he moved towards Āishah. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, when he said that, he moved towards Aisha radiyallahu anhuma. فحال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم بينه وبينها. حال النبي. The Prophet now came in between the two of them. When Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said that, the Prophet stood up. He went in between Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Aisha by way of covering up Aisha radiyallahu anha. Radiyallahu anha. In some reports, it said that ثم خرج أبو بكر الصديق. Thereupon Abu Bakr as-Siddiq went out. In the riwayah of Imām Abu Dawud, it said, وخرج أبو بكر الصديق مغضبا. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq went out مغضبا, as someone who had grown annoyed. How are you raising your voice before the Prophet alayhi salam? So he went out very angry. Radiyallahu anhu wa anna ajma'in. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, hala baynahu wa baynaha. The Prophet came in between Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and who? And Aisha radiyallahu anha. Then subsequently he went out. فجعل النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم the Prophet to calm down Aisha, like the way a man calms down his wife when the wife is displeased. In our own places, he starts calling her names: Abeni, Ayoka, Afeke, Abiki. Please, don't worry, sorry, this, that. The Prophet began to calm down Aisha. This is common with men when they have a wife that is very young. This is very common with men when their wife is very, very young. Men who are matured, who have experienced in marriage, they are the ones who are able to do this to their wives. Men who are matured, who are, in fact, who are old enough to be the parents, the father of that wife, they are the ones who have this kind of a large heart. Their wife raised her voice to them, and they'll still be the ones telling her, sorry, calm down, please, my wife, this, that, that. It is men who are very matured who do that. Most young people will not accept that. Most young people will become inflamed themselves. Are you talking to me like that? Then trouble starts. Otherwise, but those who are more matured, they are the ones who find it easier to handle this kind of a case like this. فجعل النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم يترضاها. The Prophet went on alayhi salatu wasalam, and he began to make Aisha to be pleased. وقال, and then the Prophet said alayhi salatu wasalam, ألم تريني حلت بين الرجل وبينك. Did you not, ما تريني, did you not see me, Aisha? حلت بينك وبين الرجل. I came in between you and that man, that real man called Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Did you not see how I came in between? That's the man. So said it is talking about the Rajula of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was a real man. Real men become angry when it is necessary. This is from the fiqh of that. Real men, if there is need for displeasure, they show their displeasure. It was not in place that his daughter will raise her voice over the voice of Sayyid Waladi Adam. So that's a man. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was a man in that. And at the same time, when the Prophet himself stood up in between him and Aisha, he was able to control his displeasure. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was a real man. I hope that this point is clear. So the Prophet was telling Aisha, did you see how I came in between you and that man? He was really a man. Radiyallahu anhum. ألم تريني حلت بين الرجل وبينك. Did you not see how I came in? In some report it said, كيف رأيتني أنقذتك من الرجل كيف رأيتني. How did you see me? How did you find me? أنقذتك من الرجل. I protected you. I saved you from that real man. Radiallahu anhu. In some other reports in Sunan Abu Dawud, in Sunan Abi Dawud, it said, فَمَكَثَ أَبُو بَكْرٍ الصِّدِّيقُ أَيَّامًا ثُمَّ اسْتَأْذَنَ على رسول الله. مكث أبو بكر الصديق أياما ثم استأذن على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. مكث أبو بكر الصديق. So Abu Bakr al-Siddiq did not go to that house for some days. He stayed for some days before he went on Ali radiyallahu anhu to that house again. ثم استأذن على رسول الله. Then he came again. استأذن أبو بكر الصديق مرة أخرى. He went again and asked for permission to enter the house. فَسَمِعَ تَضَحُكَهُمَا. سَمِعَ تَضَحُكَهُمَا. Abu Bakr al-Siddiq heard the two of them smiling and laughing. Āishah and the Prophet. They were smiling, they were talking, they were laughing, they were smiling. فَقَالَ. And then Abu Bakr al-Siddiq said, أَشْرِكَانِي فِي سِلْمِكُمَا كَمَا أَشْرَكْتُمَانِي فِي حَرْبِكُمَا. أَشْرِكَانِي فِي سِلْمِكُمَا. Add me to your silm, to your period of peace, to your enjoyment. كَمَا أَشْرَكْتُمَانِي فِي حَرْبِكُمَا. Just like you joined me when I was displeased, when you were displeased, when you, the two of you, فِي حَرْبِكُمَا, when you were at war, I was there. So let me also be there too now that the two of you are happy with yourselves. This affair, this hadith, أخرجه أبو داود. It was also reported by Imām Abu Dawud. والنسائي من طريق حجاج بن محمد. It was also reported by Imām النسائي من طريق حجاج ibn Muhammad, from the chain of report of Hajjaj ibn Muhammad, and Yunus, also from Yunus, that's Yunus ibn Abi Ishaq as-Sabi'i, nahwahu, in a similar report, lakinnahu qala an abihi. But Yunus ibn Abi Ishaq as-Sabi'i here, he said, from my father, an Abi Ishaq, an al-Izar, an al-Nu'man. That was the report, the chain of reports in Sunan Abi Dawud. ورواه عمر العنقزي ورواه عمرو العنقزي. That's Amr ibn Muhammad al-Anqazi. He also reported it from Yunus ibn Abi Ishaq as-Sabi'i and Abihi فأسقط العيزة. That is another difference in the chain of report. وروى نحوه أحمد في مسنده عن وكيع عن إسرائيل عن أبي إسحاق عن العيزار ابن حريث عن النعمان. This is another chain of reports. This one occurs in the Musnad of Al-Imam Ahmad. The scholars are divided about the authenticity of this hadith. But Shaykh Shuaib al-Arnaut has graded this hadith to be Jayyid. If you look at the Hamish, the footnote on page 171, he grades it Jayyid. Sheikh Al-Albani graded the one in Sunnah Abi Dawud to be Da'if. Generally speaking, this is a report that we can say it has a basis, inshallah. This is a report that we can say it has a basis, inshallah. But one day, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq came to the house and he found that Āishah radiallahu anha raised her voice towards the Prophet and he was displeased with her. Like we said at the beginning, this is evidence that the father of a woman can still blame that woman despite the fact that the woman had become married. So despite the fact that our mother Āishah was already married, in fact, in the presence of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was reprimanding our mother Āishah, even though the Prophet came in between the two of them and did not allow Abu Bakr as-Siddiq to show displeasure more than that to our mother Āishah. Then he returned to his home and then he came back again. This shows that the wives of the parents of a woman can always come to your home. Your in-laws can always come to your home. The father of your wife, the others, the brothers, they can come. More so if their coming does not become a means of fitna to the house, yes, they can come. Sometimes when the in-laws come, and then they come, and then they come, and then they come, it becomes a means of trial for the house. If this is not feared at all, there is no reason to fear that their coming becomes a means of trial for the house, then they should come. If it can become a means of trial and fitna for the house, then it should be attended to as appropriate. I think that it will be sufficient for us to stop here today. Inshallah, we can take a few questions and then we can continue from there. In the next class, Abu Abdur-Rahman.
Jazakumullah khairan, Ya Shaykh Ali.
Ameen wa antum jazakumullahu khairan.
The questioner says, Jazakumullah khairan wa ahsanallahu ilayk.
Ameen wa iyyakum.
In this hadith, Abu Bakr has referred to our mother as bintu fulana and not to himself. Would there have been any reason for doing this?
It's just about reproach and reprimand. It's about reproach and reprimand. There is nothing in it beyond that he was showing displeasure to her for raising her voice. That is to say, you, the daughter of so person, you are raising a voice in front of someone who is a messenger of Rabbul Alamin. There is nothing in it beyond reproach and reprimand for her and making her realize that she's not a person who should raise her voice to the Prophet ﷺ in any way. There is nothing in it beyond that. Allahu A'lam.
Salawatullah alaykum, Ya Shaykh Ali.
Ameen wa iyyakum, Abu Abdur-Rahman.
Another one says, please, does cleaning a little child's private part spoil ablution?
It doesn't spoil it. When you finish cleaning it, just clean off your hands from whatever dirt, najis, maybe urine or feces that would have touched your hand. It does not vitiate your own wudu or ghusl, as the case may be. It doesn't. It doesn't vitiate your wudu. It doesn't also vitiate your ghusl. So when you finish, clean your hand from the najis, inshallah.
Another one says, how best can one say basmala when performing ablution in a bedroom which has a toilet in it? Does one say it outside or inside?
That it has a toilet does not mean that it is stenching. That it has a toilet does not mean that it is stenching. If it is not stenching, say your bismillah, say your basmala, your tasmiyah. Say your tasmiyah before wudu. Make your tasmiyah, say bismillah, and continue your wudu. But if it is stenching, you will not say the tasmiyah aloud because it will be uncomfortable to open the mouth in such a stenching bathrooms. And I like to encourage women, keep your bathrooms clean. Keep your bathrooms very clean as much as possible. Or your toilets, make them places of cleanliness, because ordinarily we come to pour dirt there and it is within the household. So if you keep it clean, you'll be reducing the troubles in that place. But if you keep it dirty, then that is not healthy at all. So if, because it is dirty and stenching, you can't say your tasmiyah, you can say it completely inside you if you commence wudu. But why not go out of that dirty place? If the place is so dirty, then you should only stay there for minimum time you need to expel your tummy. Once you finish urinating or defecating, go out. Go and make wudu outside. That is better for you than remaining in a stenching environment and making wudu there. Go out of the place. May Allah provide ease for us and enrich all of us to get better places, inshallah.
Now, another one says, does showering count as ablution?
Showering? If it's just showering, you want to have your bath, it does not count as ablution. If you want to make ablution, you make an intention for ablution. You can't be showering, then you will say it is ablution. If you are showering, having your bath, it can't be ablution. Unless you want to make ablution. Then under the shower, you wash the places that wudu requires that we wash. You wash your hands, wash your mouth, wash your faces. Those places are necessary. And then at the beginning, there must be an intention. But merely wishing to wash your body with soap and sponge, as we usually have our baths, you have your shower. Then at the end of the day, you say you have made wudu. No. One, you must intend wudu. Two, you must also, under the shower, wash the parts of wudu before it will count as wudu. I hope that this is clear about the Rahman.
نعم يا شيخنا.
Can we call it a day?
جزاكم الله خير.
آمين.
نعم يا شيخ.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام عليكم.
آمين.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.